What?
I was like, bang, 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 because I was imagining her banging her head against the wall. Fuck it up, Tony. Fuck it up.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Watch Horror podcast. This is episode 7.5 and it's a instalment of the 0.5 production series. I don't know what number it is on the 0.5 production series, maybe 5 or something, but it's coming out as episode 7.5. You're here with me, Rob, my very alright mate, Manny.
I'm just average.
And my pretty damn good mate, Ruben.
Favouritism in work again.
Rise and be baptised.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the tagline for this movie which we just watched, which is called The Whistler. Came out in 2018. It's currently doing the festival circuit. And before we get into anything, I just want to say, Jenny, who directed this, make sure you make a full-length feature of this film. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to come out of this 0.5 production, is make sure this becomes a full-length feature.
At the very least, you will have our undying support.
I want to see it. I really do.
For sure.
So, what did you guys think of the short we just watched? Also, just to add, it was another private screener we got to watch.
Yeah, just to throw the bit more braggy out there, just to be like.
I brag when I can.
Hashtag blessed. Hashtag humble.
Yeah, exactly. It was proper good. I really loved the visual presentation. It had a bunch of genuinely really good like sort of visual. You wouldn't say gags, would you? Like kind of like some really like cool shots, nice little sort of intimidating scare points. I really liked the way it was shot. It was lit nicely. Like I thought the general visual presentation and like there were just certain shots that are really sticking with me, having just watched it. I mean, specifically, I said to you right after we watched it, there's like that one shot where we sort of see all of the children that the Whistler is kind of lured, like the aerial shot are kind of overlooking the woods, and we see them all in procession. And
I made a note of that specifically because there was a lot of kids there all of a sudden, and it has that really nice crowd effect that I guess you associate with zombie movies.
Yes.
Because quite often in horror, the idea is like isolation is scary, and you get scared when you're alone. But zombie movies tend to play on that sort of like, it's the total opposite, isn't it? It's like the more there are, the worse it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're powerful in numbers. So I thought that was really cool. Like, she's out in the woods at the time, so you expect the fear to come from the fact that she's alone, and yet suddenly there's this big crowd that you're not expecting, and it has that really cool effect of like, you're outnumbered.
Yeah.
It's quite a creepy movie. It's filmed a lot from between a house and the woods. Filmed in British Columbia, which I've been very lucky to go to. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. But at the same time, at night in the woods there would be fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
So they really captured that in this, I found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going from the safety of the home to this suddenly very sort of isolated feeling was cool.
Yeah, they seemed to somehow film it in a way that you really felt it was warm in the house and cold as soon as they left.
Yeah.
No, for sure. You definitely got a sense of like the surroundings and the temperature and like just the general like the hostility of that environment. Obviously, there's like a rapids running through there, and you just get
which is gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah, no, the scenery in this movie is like genuinely properly nice to look at. I mean, that's the first thing we see, isn't it? Is like that aerial shot of like those rapids and the waterfall, and like the voice like sort of whispering, "Rise up and be baptized." Which was like a nice little intriguing opener to the film. Draws you in very nicely.
I've definitely drawn in. It was written and directed by a woman called Jennifer Nicole Strang. I don't know too much about her, but I know that she's done quite a bit in horror. She's been around the movie scene quite a lot. She's got a hell of a lot of followers on Twitter. And she got in touch with us. She noticed a tweet that we sent out asking for people to be on the 0.5, and she got in touch with us pretty early on. It's also produced by someone called Sasha Filipovich, which she's worked at Sony Pictures, and she currently works on Riverdale, which Ruby is a fan of.
That is so cool. I am addicted to that show. I am completely addicted. And actually, this had that. I mean, maybe I'm only making that link because I knew of that relationship, but like this kind of has that look.
Yeah.
The Whistler has that sort of sheen to it, that, like you were saying, Manny, that high, super high production value that Riverdale has, actually, and even that sort of sense of unnerving tone throughout it that Riverdale has as well. So that was really cool for me as a fan.
Like Riverdale is like a gritty retelling of. I haven't seen it.
So the characters are based on characters from the Archie comics.
Yeah, right. I've heard of it.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar necessarily with the Archie comics, but obviously I've heard of it. They're infamous.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's like a proper cultural cornerstone.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So the characters are from the Archie comics, and like again, I don't know the comics, so I don't know how closely it follows particular storylines. But it's just sort of this. It's horny teenagers confronted with demons.
I mean,
I'm not sure me and you, Manny, would be too into it.
Its target audience probably isn't older men, or young men.
Older men?
No.
We're in our prime. I mean, we may not be able to run very far, but we can talk a shit ton about horror, and that's prime for us, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. It's all downhill from here,
And
isn't
we
it?
can do it all while drinking at least 2 beers.
Because I got mixed up in my head. I was going to say older teenagers, and I suddenly realised you're not teenagers anymore, so I changed it to men. Young men are probably
we'll take
not
that, we'll
its
take
target
that.
audience. It's probably very much aimed at teenage girls. Again, I'm no longer a teenager, but I still enjoy this kind of thing. It's cheesy, but it fully knows it's cheesy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not to say that The Whistler's aimed at teenage girls, though. I think The
No.
Whistler is aimed at anyone who enjoys any type of horror film should give this one a go.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, as our other point fives, it's already won quite a few awards on the festival circuit, just to name a few. It has been awarded the Best Fantasy Short Film at the Flickers Rhode Island Film Festival and the Best Thriller Award at the Amsterdam International Film Festival, which is pretty damn cool. I'm going to talk a few later there that they have on their poster, which we'll talk about in a bit. Also, going to the fact that I said it wanted to be a feature film, it actually is a proof of concept for the feature Blackwood Falls.
Oh, okay.
And the script has already been sent out and has already won awards.
Oh, cool.
Right.
It won the Best Horror Script at the Los Angeles Film and Script Festival and was a finalist at Shriekfest.
Oh,
So
fine.
the script is out there and doing well, and once this film
It's a good sign.
has been seen by people that can turn it into a feature film, I'm sure it will get there.
This definitely will give enough in the way of like interest, like in order to. It should get a backing. You know what I mean? I can only imagine.
Definitely think so.
There's definitely enough in here to. I'm sure anybody that is able to get behind a film like financially and creatively would be able to see that this has enough to draw in. Like like you said, it would bring in anybody who is a fan of horror movies. I think like it has enough of the tropes, but it's definitely presented in a way that it doesn't feel like a rehash.
Yeah.
Which I think is always like a cool thing if you like these sorts of things. It gives you what you want, but it isn't. It doesn't just feel like the same old thing. It kind of has enough of its own.
Far from predictable.
No, it has enough of its own identity for sure. I mean, in the short, we don't see very much, which I think is all like you two will definitely like back me up on this. I mean, and you've heard me say this a million times. I much prefer when you don't see a full like reveal of your antagonist, of your villain, of your monster straight away. Like the little flashes that we get of the Whistler. He looks really cool. I remember that you get that little that really quick flash of him smiling, and there's like, and that looks
That's a nasty smile.
Lovely
it looks fucking awesome. Like, the nice little like prosthetic teeth, and like, it looked nice and grisly, and like it looked like you hadn't brushed his teeth for at least 6 years.
Yeah, I
It was-
really
it was
liked that.
great.
Like it was you saying about that award they got for, was it fantasy?
Yeah.
And I think that's so accurate because like you say, the Whistler himself. Did you guys expect, like when you heard the title The Whistler, did you expect that to be a character?
No, I didn't.
That hadn't occurred to me.
It's a character in like a little child's book that they read.
Yeah.
In it.
I mean, I kind of did. Like honestly, like when I heard that, like
I mean, it makes sense. It makes complete sense, but just for some reason, it hadn't occurred to me that was going to be a character necessarily. I hadn't thought about it enough. But yeah, his character is super fantastical. He's not just horror. He definitely has those sort of fantasy elements, like child catcher elements.
Yeah,
about
for
him.
sure. There's that aura.
Yeah,
That's
and you saying about the
definitely-
book, Rob, that I have to say the illustrations in that book were beautiful.
They were.
Really stunning, and not that you
Yeah.
don't expect to see that level of artistry, especially in a short.
Do you think that was brought from Jenny maybe seeing the Babadook and thinking,
Maybe.
was that because it's like the Babadook. I want this book. I want
Yeah,
the book.
yeah.
I was planning, Manny, I tell you, I was trying to get Ruby the Babadook for Christmas.
The book.
The actual,
and the
like-
cheapest is about £500. So Ruby ain't getting that. I mean, obviously, if you guys wanted to donate to the hashtag Get Ruby the Babadook book fund,
I'm worth it.
The minimum donation is currently at £500. So we only need one.
That would be a very cool thing to own, and it is always nice. I always like it when there's like an item from a film that's just really gorgeous, and they put a lot of work, a prop essentially,
Yeah.
but it's so much more than a prop.
It feels more than a prop.
It has a life of its own.
Scratches that collector's itch.
Definitely,
Yeah. He allows you to be a bit of a nerd, for sure.
Going back to the Whistler, he's played by a guy called Nelson Lace, or Lace. Manny, you can see it. How would you pronounce that?
Where are we?
Leis.
I'd guess Lace. I'd guess.
Lace.
Yeah, I'd
anyway,
guess Lace.
there's a few behind the scenes videos on YouTube, and we'll link you to those. And one of them, you see Nelson getting dressed in character. And there's a really funny bit where he goes like, I want everyone to know that the Whistler is more than just a man who takes kids into the woods. I've got a family, I'm loved, I work out, and he's dressed and he's got the full Whistler
Aesthetics
makeup on it.
on.
And he just seems like a really fun guy. And that would have been great being on the set with him.
Yeah.
It really reminded me of that bit in Wreck-It Ralph when the bad guys have that like AA meeting and they're just like, I can't handle being a villain anymore. There's so much more to me than that. Absolutely brilliant, yeah.
There's a few more people that produce this, and I think that's why we get such a good, clean imagery, and everything feels really nice in this.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got Jennifer Nicole Strang and James Neat, they're the executive producers, and other producers, Sasha Filipovich, the one who did Riverdale, someone called Karen Wong, and obviously Jennifer as well. So there is 4 producers in this, so that would really help towards making it as good as it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it definitely, you can tell it had a lot of backing because I mean, it like I said, you wouldn't look at this and it clearly wasn't an amateurish production, was it? You know what I mean?
Nothing about this was amateur.
No, not at all. You know what I mean?
Even on the cast, I'm just looking at the moment. I'll read you the cast list, but there is a little rat in this called Freddy, and his name is Copernicus, or how would you say?
Copernicus.
Copernicus. I'm going to edit that because that's embarrassing.
No, you're not.
It's like when I read Cologne as Cologne. Do you remember?
Man, no, it's like a childlike naivety, but with reading
This
that.
is
You
what-
just read it as it spelled.
This is why I do
That's
the
one
back
of your
of the box
best yet,
preview.
Copernicus.
Oh, okay. I'll try and get
no.
everyone else's names right. So Lindsay in the film, which plays the older sister, she's played by Caris Cameron, and I thought she was great.
Yeah.
And the younger sister who plays Rebecca is Baya Ipatowicz.
Okay.
Let me read that. Where's the set? Oh yeah. Baya Ipatowicz. Yeah, no, we're butchering again. This is becoming a weekly tradition for us.
I think what we're going to do is practice some reading before we start recording next time.
Unique New York.
This is our USP, is that we can't actually pronounce any of our words, so
Yeah.
that's why you come to the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Regardless of what we're doing.
It must be
or-
lovely to listen to.
Horror reviews are just secondary.
No, she was really good, the younger girl. As I've probably mentioned before, I have a slight aversion to like kid actors, but she wasn't. She was great. She was really, really great. She didn't do any of that sort of really awkward, horrible stuff that kid actors sometimes tend to do. She was very mature in her acting, I thought.
Yeah. We had Mr. and Mrs. Weaver there, the parents. We only see them for a little bit. Mr. Weaver was played by John Emmett Tracy, and I really feel like I knew him from somewhere. I don't know quite where, but I feel like I'd seen him before.
That's probably
my
your
face
facial
recognition thing was
yeah.
I can't say words right, but I do know my faces.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Weaver was Alison Wanzura. The Whistler was Nelson Lace, as we said. The Ghost Girl, there is a Ghost Girl in this short that you see.
Right.
Is played by Charlie Olsen.
Is that not the little sister?
It's who the Ghost Girl takes over, I guess, but it's played by a different person, I think. And also, the Whistler has a double in this, which was Emmett Lee Stang, which I'm pretty sure is related to Jennifer Nicole Strang in some way. So the Whistler double.
I was about to say, do you think that's a voice acting thing? But as a double, that tends to mean actual body double, doesn't it?
For stunt work, usually.
Yeah, but nothing like that comes to mind. But interesting.
And that is the cast, and obviously, of course, there's Copernicus, or as I would call it, Copernicus.
Amazing. Did they not list the, was it 21 or 23?
There was 21 child extras. No, they didn't. That's
They
not
didn't,
been listed.
no.
But yeah, I wonder how that must have been quite fun as well, and quite tough, because that looked very cold, especially when they're filming it. There's a bit in the extra bit in the YouTube where one of the actress who plays Lindsay, she looks frozen.
Yeah.
So you could tell. So to have all of those kids there at night time, looks like they're just wearing those white gowns.
The Victorian style 90s.
That must have been quite hard keeping all of those happy.
The costume and makeup on the kids looked super impressive as well. Like they all looked the part. They looked like proper creepy kids. You know, I mean, if you're gonna have creepy kids, you got to go the full 9 yards with it. You've really got to make them like pop and make you go, oh, those kids look. I don't want to run into those kids.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Especially 20 odd of them.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean. It sort of just triggers that thing off in you. It's just like, oh god, little shits.
Yeah.
No, they look really good. They definitely, they looked.
Yeah, the kind of storyline to this roughly is that the Whistler, this character that she reads about in the book, his thing, his kink, is to lead young virgins into the woods and do something to them there.
Lead them to apparently so the book story kind of said that he takes them and baptizes them.
Yes,
but Lindsay tells her sister that there's actually a real thing that happened. Not real. What's it actually?
Like
happened?
an urban legend.
Yeah. That he managed to lead 130 virgins into the woods to their death.
To their death, yeah.
Right.
So we're not sure which version is true, if either version is true at that point. But I kind of got like, maybe this is just me desperately reaching for references, but I kind of got a slight Kruger-esque thing off of this, because like he goes for virgins, which I know Kruger doesn't necessarily do.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean, because obviously, yeah.
But it's like going for young people.
Yeah. But not going the full hog and saying he's a paedophile.
Yes.
Because that's the thing that always gets me about Freddy Krueger, is that it's never explicitly said that he's a paedophile, which means I don't have to, because I love Freddy, but if he was a paedophile...
and I don't want to know.
Let me keep my ignorance.
Yes, exactly, which I've been given. The remake of the Freddy did not let me have that, which is why that piece of shit will be burned in my mind forevermore.
Yeah, that was awful.
But I think the same with this one, is that if you go the full hog and say he's a paedophile, then whenever you do the film or you do the feature film, he's going to be instantly hated and not have a chance of for anyone to get on his side.
He definitely doesn't have any charm anymore. That's for sure.
No, for sure. And I think that with the design and the sort of the repetition of that phrase and the little glimpses that we get of him, like there's
of the Whistler.
Yeah. I guess that there is like a chance that he is meant to have a certain, a devilish charm of his own.
Yes.
Kind of. You know what I mean? And like I know it. I think I know exactly what you mean when you say it reminds you of Freddy. And that
it was a few different things. It was initially the whole going for virgins thing, and his victims being children or young people.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, the way he looked as well was quite Kruger-esque. And also, there was a little bit of a dream sequence in this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sure. That like the little bit at the beginning where she sort of sees the little premonition of like the girl with the eyes, and he sees the rat. It all turns out to be like a premonition, doesn't it?
It doesn't strictly say it's a dream, but it's while she's asleep, and as it's going on, we get flashes back to her being asleep and the things actually happening in the house.
So that's her to imply that this is all in her head as she's laying there.
Yeah,
and then while she's laying there, we get that little shot of him like sort of in the backdrop. He's sitting at like a table with his hood up and his head down.
That was creepy. Yeah, that was really creepy.
That's when I went. Rob audibly went.
I do that all the time now. Like 2 years ago, I would have been like, whatever. But now I'm just like,
That's always my favourite kind of thing in horror movies, where there's just something in the foreground. Like it doesn't like advertise itself to you, with zero subtlety. There's just something in the backdrop, and it just lets you catch it, and you just kind of go, "Oh God, look at that." You know what I mean? Like that I always thoroughly enjoy those. It's
kind of like just putting something on the table and just being like, make of that what you will. It's not shoving it down your throat saying, no, you will eat it, you will eat it. It's like, no, here you go, take it or leave it.
I don't feel you can do that to horror fans anymore. I don't think you can really try and spoon feed them too much.
It kind of depends on the genre, I guess, but especially when something's trying to be like
it definitely
eerie.
depends on the context for
I mean,
what's trying to be gone for. But I think if you're trying to be like creepy, like that's like the antithesis of creepy. But you know, sometimes startling and not like shocking, like you know, what I mean that getting something straight in the foreground and just going with it works. But for something like this, considering the kind of tone they were going for, I think that is definitely more conducive to things like that, where it's like, you know, little bits. Just sort of little flashes, you know, especially since this is meant to be like a concept to sort of sell you on a feature length. You know what I mean? It doesn't give you very much in the way of like something you can definitely like go, this is exactly what this is. It's all intrigue, which of course I should imagine is entirely the point, and it definitely works on that level.
I think it definitely does.
Yeah.
I just want to give a little bit. There's a little shout out to The Shining in this, but they do it in such a cool way.
Oh yeah.
The little girl Becky. How old do you think she's supposed to be? 10, 11?
At the oldest, yeah.
At the oldest.
I would have said 9.
Yeah, and she's on the sofa with her sister talking about horror films, and she goes, I love the one with the elevator and the blood gushing out of it, and I was like, that's so cool that this little girl loves The Shining.
Yeah, I love, and I think we all do, all nerds do, don't they? When a little reference is put in there and you feel like it's just for you.
But it didn't go over the top like that fucking Player One.
Oh, Ready Player One. To be fair, that The Shining sequence in Ready Player One was the best part of the film.
Did you think so?
I'm only saying that because the rest of the film was like having an aneurysm.
Yeah.
It was like, look at all of this stuff happening, and then there was that bit where
wasn't it?
I mean, to be fair,
The first like couple of minutes of that Shining reference were I was like, okay, this is fun because I like The Shining, so this applies to me. I get this, but after like 15 minutes of the film and it was still making the same, it was like, oh, come on.
To be fair, that summed up the entire thing. It was just too much all the time.
Much. But yeah, this film doesn't do that.
No, not at all.
It gives you those nice little, I like to think of them as Easter eggs for people who know what to look for. Wasn't there something recently what we watched and it had the number 237?
Yeah, in Hostel they.
It's Hostel.
When they stop off at the hostel, they get sent to 237, which is a detail. I mean, I honestly, every time I've watched that, I've completely missed it. I just saw it when I was doing my research and the little little trivia.
I feel like that happens a lot. Shining references seem to be a thing it's like really good to try and do when you're making a horror film.
237. I mean, there was even one in Toy Story 3, if I remember rightly. There was something like that where
all Disney films have a number.
Well, yeah, and that is
the studio from the Pixar thing.
Yeah. It was the studio where the initial members of Pixar first learned how to animate, like before I think they even formed Pixar. So.
Just to go on a little side note, at Disney they have a little club where you're allowed to drink in Disney. That you can pay to be a part of.
Like a big boy.
There's a secret door. My sister told me this, that you could. I think it's like, I don't know if it's the club that the number that they use, but if you've got enough money and you need to drink, you can go to this special room in Disney World and just get pissed. Because you're not allowed to drink anywhere in the park, obviously.
Yeah, man. I mean,
me and you would be running around and be like, oh, fucking yes!
Man, I mean,
Buzz Lightyear.
I'd probably need to slam some tequilas after queuing for 6 hours straight. You know what I mean?
Right, so let's have a look at the poster. I really like this poster. It's really thick to me. Like, it's really thick. I want to like touch it. It's like someone drawn it with a really thick pen.
It's black and white done right. Is what it is.
I've got a really big thing, like I love any kind of image that involves like just someone standing right in the, not in the foreground, not in the background, right in the middle ground of the image, just start smack bang in the middle, just staring straight at you, the viewer. Like it kind of reminds me of the front cover of the first self-titled Black Sabbath album. It kind of has that similar thing where there's like a woman like in a robe, like kind of just staring straight at the thing. It just looks inherently creepy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially once it's set in the woods and what have you. It's perfect. Like a proper classic horror image.
And of course, because Jennifer's clearly very modest, she sent us one with the awards it's won on it and one without. So I think she did want to, she's probably not one to brag too much about the awards and letting us have a choice of whether we use what one we use to promote it. Of course, I'm going to promote the one with the awards in it because this film should be shown off to the awards it's won.
Yeah.
So let's give you a little bit. So it was the best film at the Horror Movie Freaks Film Fest 2018. That's a pretty cool accolade, that.
Yeah.
And it's got the Best International Horror Short at Women in Horror Film Festival at 2018.
Oh, sick.
That is
Nice one.
sick, isn't it?
I was going to say, like, it's one of those things that, like, I always second guess myself on, because sometimes I don't like to push the thing like, oh, it's a woman, because that should be normal. That should be so normal. And it feels sometimes like when you make a thing out of it, it makes a thing out of it, you know?
Sure.
But as soon as you said that there's a bunch of chicks working on this, I was like, that's just great. That's what we fucking need. That's what we
They've done a
want.
sick
So it's
job.
really cool.
Absolutely
really, really
smashed
cool.
it.
Yeah.
And they did a bloody good job, for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I heard recently there was a thing, did you hear about this? There was a bit of a backlash against, is it Blumhouse? I think Jason Blum.
Oh, yes,
for
yeah.
like having
He said something
like,
stupid.
Well, he said something stupid, but it was just the fact that he has 0 fucking female directors working on his films. They produce it feels like 25 films a year, and none of them are by female directors.
He needs
so
to
it's
get
just like,
Jenny on his
dude,
list, seriously.
Yeah.
sort it out, because there's some serious talent out there that don't have dicks.
I like that. There's talent out there that do not have dicks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you guys want to see this, unless you're going to the film festival it's going to be at, you're not going to get a chance till mid next year. But it's going to hopefully be released on VOD platforms. They're not sure which ones to go for yet, but if everyone's lucky, it'll be on Amazon Prime, or maybe it'll be on Shudder. We don't know, but well, we've got to see it.
It's gonna happen.
No, keep your eye out for this though, because it is certainly, you know what I mean, it's certainly worth the 10 minutes, you know what I mean, for sure. And if I like we opened up this podcast with, we'd love to see this expanded upon.
Definitely.
So, do we want to do our 3 words? So I've got mine. You've got yours, Ruby. And if do you want to think of yours while we go through ours, Manny?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So I don't even know if mine is a word, but I'm going to go for temperate or
That is-
temperature.
Temperate's a word, but
Yeah.
it means not cold, not hot.
Yeah, that's not what I want to go for. The word I want to go for is kind of like, it makes me feel, I really feel like I can feel the temperature of each shot in this film, the way it's shot and the way it's done.
Climatic?
Climatic.
About the climate?
Climatey. Climatey. Whatever word.
Prophetic fallacy? Where the weather reflects the mood?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go for climatey, because obviously it needs to be one word. And that's the thing I really got from this film is that I really felt that I got the temperature of it through the way it was shot and
The mood.
And the cameras in this were fucking awesome.
Yeah, the cinematography and the way it was shot was proper good. It was in fact, like, I was as far as to say it was kind of flawless. There wasn't like a single like element of it in terms of the cinematography where I looked at it and kind of went, yeah, they could have done that better. And I mean, I can be a bit finicky with cinematography sometimes. I like.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of like movies with like perfect cinematography. Like, I'm not OCD, but I can kind of be it with movies sometimes. You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, they didn't have to use shaky cam with that. They could have done like a dolly shot. You know what I mean? But no, everything was done to a T, like camera wise. That I have to give them 110% credit.
I always struggle with this one because, especially when you really like something, a lot of words come to mind, don't they? And you kind of want to pick something that the film itself deserves.
Yeah, don't just say good.
Yeah, or like scary, because it's like, it's more than that. I think for me what comes to mind is probably the word fresh. This feels very fresh. Like you say, the cinematography feels crisp and clean and fresh. And the story itself, I really like as well. Like, it does, as you mentioned, it does play on some of those sort of more traditional horror stories.
But I love that.
It does it well.
Think of the Babadook. That's an amazing film. Amazing. And this gets me thinking about the Babadook.
Yeah.
Or the Babadook gets me thinking about this film in the same light.
Yeah. I mean,
Sure.
the very, very basic building blocks are of it. Like, you know, there's a storybook and there's this folklore and like urban legend that then then it comes to life, and that's an ancient story, but it takes that and does something really fresh with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought there was some, like you mentioned, some of the sort of visual tricks that were going on. Like, I really like the shadow play in this. There's one bit where all of a sudden a shadow moves in the background, but I hadn't noticed there anything to begin with.
It made it look like it could have just been a shadow of just like a bedpost or something.
Exactly, and then it suddenly moved, and that's really unnerving when you're not expecting that. So that was like super cool. And yeah, just the ending, which I know we're not allowed to talk about. I will say I got an actual skin tingle. And that's quite rare for people. Like, again, we've said it's all the time, but it's quite rare to actually get those
skin tingles with eye stuff now.
But I actually did. I got a very sort of visceral reaction from that ending. So super fresh.
Yeah.
Manny, have you prepared your word?
I was having a little think through while you guys were talking, and I'm afraid, Ruby, I'm gonna have to steal one of the words that I heard you say, because it was like, it just went, which was crisp. Like just for me, the visual style and the fact that the direction was definitely like focused. Like, it, you know what I mean? There wasn't much in the way of any kind of meandering, which, you know, for a short is really necessary. But it definitely, like, the cinematography and the kind of the way that the story was streamlined, like, really properly, and it expanded just enough, but it didn't like outstay any of its welcome or anything. It was crisp. It was nice and focused and crisp. I think crisp sums it up for me for sure.
I think the only thing for me that took me out of it ever so slightly was I couldn't help thinking, you know, when she wakes up from her dream sequence after watching a scary movie and she's essentially home alone, because when you're with a child, you may as well be alone in terms of any kind of threat. I just thought that she was actually really brave. I don't know of a single person, especially a young female, who stays at home with all the lights off.
Especially in that house.
It's a big house surrounded by forest. Like, when I'm home alone, I know it's terrible, but I have like all the lights on, the radio's on, the TV's on. Like, I can't just sit alone in the dark.
Where we know the neighbours.
Exactly. We're like in a super urban setting. Like, maybe I'm just a coward, but I don't know many people who do that.
I would like to have your electricity though.
Luckily, I'm not alone very often, so it's okay.
Yeah,
but
very true.
yeah, I did think she was very brave.
You know, I mean, maybe that's just a reflection on her character. Like, I mean, she does like literally when what's the name of the little girl?
The actress's name?
The actual character.
Becky.
Becky, that's right. When Becky runs out of the house, she just runs straight after her.
Yeah.
You know, straight into the woods, you know what I mean? Like for sure. But then we wouldn't have that amazing shot of all the you know, the sort of the zombie kids all in their little gang moving forward. So yeah, cheers for your bravery.
Yeah.
Shout out to whoever owns that house. I'm incredibly jealous of you. I want that house looks so amazing.
This is something we as English people cannot get over. Like, we've watched a few films lately where I just can't help but be like, what the fuck is that house? Like, they come across as fairly average middle class people, the characters, and then they like live in mansions.
Yeah,
sure.
Mansions.
And I've seen the area where this house is in, and you think paradise.
Yeah.
I mean, where we live, we live near the sea, I guess.
We do.
We do.
We're very lucky
any
in that
sand.
way.
No, we have pretend sand in our beach, luckily.
Just to put it into perspective, our house is about, 10 foot by 20 foot?
I think if me and Manny laid head to tail, we could just touch the sides.
Definitely.
Yeah,
good.
and we're not
Definitely.
exactly tall, are we, Manny?
No, not really. I mean, not really. We're not tall.
Maybe throw in half of one of my legs, and that would be the extent of our floor plans.
But this house. Yeah, I mean, we're not. I know I'd be cheeky enough to ask for a free of their next film, or ask for a screener to see the full feature of this. But I don't think I'm cheeky enough to ask if we can come and stay at that house. For a bit. You know, just to do a very special podcast episode. You know.
Yeah, it's all for promotion value.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe be an extra. I could be
you as one of the kids.
Oh, man, you know, I can be infantile. You know what I mean? I can run along and just be like a proper like dead-eyed.
Shave that beard, you'll be fine.
Oh man, I would have to shave the beard. I was about to try and play that off, but for God's sake, no.
Well, that was The Whistler.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, for
you.
emailing us with that. It was awesome.
Cheers.
So much fun.
Yep. Our 3 words were Climatey.
I can't get over that.
Yeah. I was just thinking, our 3 words kind of make it sound like she's selling an air freshener. It's like-
Crisp, fresh, and Climatey.
it is also eerie and spooky as hell, just so you know.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
It's just they were sort of, I guess, the really protruding elements of it.
Yeah, of course. You want to give elements of the film which aren't going to be as obvious. If we came forward and said, "Oh, it's eerie, spooky, and scary," it'd just be like,
I achieved the basic,
you know,
goals of the horror.
You want to, you know, with the aim of these is to get at the elements which sort of set it apart. So yeah,
exactly. And there is a trailer for this, and of course we'll put this up on our Twitter page and on our Instagram and everything. Their Twitter is at Whistler Movie. Check that out because there may be some bits and pieces you didn't know about the film that you can watch, and hopefully there'll be more information about how it's doing on the festivals and the full feature that movie that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, give them a follow.
And we are at Watch Horror Pod.
At Watch Horror Pod.
That could be our spin-off thing where we make
make pudding.
Yeah, make pudding.
Well, yeah, no, we
Scary pudding.
But yeah, at Watch Horror Pod on Instagram we are.
Let's watch horror pod.
And the same for Facebook. Stop. Okay, Manny, I feel like you're laughing at me.
No, it's
I'm
me.
I'm laughing at horror pudding.
That's okay then.
I don't know why. Just as a combination of words, that's tickled me so nicely.
But yeah, everyone go and check out the trailer and get ready for this when you can see it next year. It's worth the wait.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Oh, and thank you to Tommy for our artwork.
Thanks, bro.
As always.
And we will see you guys in one of our other episodes. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Bye.